Hi, this is English 9A, Credit 1, Lesson 1. We're going to be learning about source material and paraphrasing and summarizing. So if you want to go to the next page. Below is the introduction to the newspaper article 1985, Volcano Kills Thousands in Colombia, which details a volcanic event. A newspaper article is also considered a source material, an original authoritative material used in research, which you will use to complete the activities that follow. I will read the article. 1985, Volcano Kills Thousands in Colombia, source BBC News. About 20,000 people are feared dead after a volcanic eruption in northern Colombia. 4 towns in the Andes regions are reported to have been buried when ash spewed out of the volcano, Nevado del Ruiz causing a mudslide. The worst affected was Armero, the province of Tolima's second largest city. About 50 miles from the Colombian capital Bogota, Armero, which lay in the valley below the 16,200-foot-high volcano, was virtually destroyed, buried by mud, and rubble swept down onto it. The fatal eruption happened during the night when most of the town's 27,000 residents were in bed. Nevado del Ruiz, known locally as the Sleeping Lion, had not erupted for nearly 150 years. So in your own words, state the main, which is the most important idea, the main idea of this article in 1 to 2 sentences. The hint they give you is article titles often reveal the main idea. So you can start this one off with the main idea of this article is, and then hint again, use the title. So go ahead and fill that one out. Question 2, based on the article's introduction and the information in the glossary, why is this considered a source material? So remember, a source material is an original authoritative material used in research. And if you're looking at the top of the page, it says a newspaper article is also considered a source material. So those are 2 hints to fill that question out. So go ahead and do that question. So now we're going to go on to citing textual evidence. Now that you've identified the main idea, you will find evidence from the text to provide supporting details. This is also known as citing textual evidence, finding direct or indirect quotations that support claims about a piece of writing. Gathering this evidence will help you summarize and paraphrase this article. So as we read, underline or highlight 2 additional pieces of textual evidence. So they highlighted one for you already, and we're going to go through, and I will also help you highlight a couple of them. And so you will have to highlight a few of your own, because for the next page you're going to be having to fill out 3 you're going to have to cite 3 other textual evidence portions. So the first one, the main idea again, is that the volcano killed thousands of people in Colombia. So that very first sentence is a good example of textual evidence. About 20,000 people are feared dead. Okay, it tells you how many, about how many, it tells you what killed them, and it tells you where it was at. You can find 2 more of your own evidences so that you can put them into these boxes on page 7. So I gave you that first one. So for the first one, I highlighted, and I'm going to put what I highlighted. About 20,000 are feared dead after a volcanic eruption in northern. And so I helped you out with this first one. They did give you an example. So what you're going to do is whatever two other evidence that you highlighted on the previous page, you're going to copy into boxes 3 and 4. And then on the right side, you're going to explain how does that show evidence that the main idea of this article is talking about the volcanic eruption that happened and killed thousands of people. So again, you need to find evidence for boxes 3 and 4, and then on the right side explain. So I gave you number 2. You can go ahead and explain for box number for the explain box. And when you're done with that, then you can move on to the next portion. So now we're going to go into summarizing and paraphrasing. So I'm going to go ahead and read that first box on the left. A summary is a brief statement of central ideas in a piece of writing in your own words. So that's like key. It's in your own words. It identifies the writer and title of the original text. It highlights the writer's main ideas. It presents the information neutrally with no opinion in favor or against the author's statement. And it's usually much shorter than the original text. And so a paraphrase is a little bit different. This is a restatement in your own words. So it identifies the writer and title of the original text. It combines different strategies to keep to the ideas of the text, such as using synonyms for words, changing the sentence structure, changing parts of speech of words. And it's usually the same length as the text that it's paraphrasing. Sometimes people take that sentence by sentence. Some people, do a couple sentences and change the word order to paraphrase it. But again, the summary is a little bit shorter. So we're going to look at the example at the bottom. So the left side is the complete paragraph. So Tom and Bill were walking to school. They passed over a bridge as they did every day. But on this day, the river was full. The water was clear and the sun was shining in a cloudless sky. Tom said, "Let's go fishing." Bill wasn't so sure. "We have a test today. Shouldn't we go to class?" "Nonsense," said Tom. "You only live once. A day like this won't come along again." Bill wasn't sure this was a good idea, but suddenly a fish jumped from the sparkling water. He decided Tom was right. They should definitely skip class on such a nice day. So, for the examples to the right, the question above is asking why summary 1 is the best example. And so we can look at it. So summary 3, if we're looking at summary 3 first, it doesn't give any detail or reason why the two skipped class, right? So it says 2 friends decided to skip class and go fishing. It doesn't give them their name. It doesn't give any detail. It's just very vague. 2 friends decided to skip school and go fishing. For summary 2, walking to school on a nice day, Tom couldn't resist skipping school and going fishing. Bill only agreed because of Tom's persuasion and a nice day. So this one is a little bit better. It gives some details. It could pass, but it doesn't go into detail how Tom persuaded him. And so that's why summary 1 is a little bit better. It's the best example out of all the 3. Tom and Bill were walking to school on a beautiful day. Tom thought they should go fishing. Bill thought they should go to school because they had a test. Tom thought it would be a shame to waste the day. Bill finally agreed. So you're going to go up here and fill out that answer. Summary 1 is the best example because, and when you're done with that, you can move on. So this next part is about paraphrasing, and so they give you an example in that first box. Willy Wonka was famous for his delicious candy. Children and adults love to eat it. Paraphrasing it, Willy Wonka was known throughout the world because people enjoyed eating and tasty candy he made. And then it gives you just another reference. Put it in your own words, avoid copying, rearrange similar text, ask yourself if you've included all the important points. And so they're going back to that paragraph that I read to you in the beginning, and they're breaking it down. If you're looking at this first example, they do it for you. So they take that first couple, it looks like a first couple sentences, and they paraphrase it into their own words. And remember, you're picking what's important. You're putting it in your own words, but still sticking to the main idea of what it's saying. Okay, so use that first example as like a reference of how it should go, and then you're gonna do the next part of the paragraph on your own for page 9. And then once you're done with that, you can move on. You're going to continue to paraphrase. For this third paragraph, I am going to help you with this one. So, the fatal eruption happened during the night when most of the town's 27,000 residents were in bed. So, the town 27,000 residents were in bed when the deadly eruption happened. Okay. Nevado del Ruiz, known locally as the Sleeping Lion, had not erupted for nearly 150 years. So I can change that to the volcano was called the Sleeping Lion because it had not erupted in 150 years. So that is my paraphrase of that paragraph. You guys can choose to use my paraphrase or write your own example. At the bottom of this, so you've paraphrased the article, and now it wants you to write a summary of the article. And so we worked on a summary previously. So go ahead and you're going to write 3 sentences. So you're going to finish off that first sentence that they gave you. The BBC News reports in their article, 1985 volcano kills thousands in Colombia. Go ahead and finish that sentence and write 2 more sentences. And remember, you only need the main ideas. So if you're taking this entire article and you're only giving it 3 sentences, make sure you're thinking that somebody who is going to read this has never read the article, so you want to give them the most important parts. And when you're done with that, we can go ahead and move on to the next part. So now we're going to look at different elements of a novel or short story. We're going to read a narrative or story about a journalist's attempt to rescue a trapped girl named Azucena. In this lesson, you will review several important elements of a narrative, including plot, character, theme, and descriptive language. So, the first one is setting. That one's in the green. A setting has to do with the time, place, and environment in which the story takes place. The plot, which is in red, the series of events in the story that reveal the conflict, crisis, and resolution. And then characters, the people or things who take part in the story. Point of view, the perspective from which the story is told, and theme. What is the author trying to tell us about the story? So what are you supposed to learn? What is the moral or life lesson about the story? And so you will see these parts throughout the story that we're going to read in the next lesson. So what it wants you to do is, at the bottom, it gives you the terms on the left: character, plot, and theme. And so you're going to draw a line to the term on the left from the examples on the right. So I'm going to help you with a character one. Mickey Mouse is a reporter. Katniss Everdeen, Romeo. Those are all characters. So I'm going to draw a line. Go ahead and do plot and theme on your own. And when you're done, you can move on. And so for this activity, you will identify examples of descriptive language from the narrative and the clay we are created. So this story is going to have a lot of descriptive language. That means that the writer is appealing to the five senses. So sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. So as you go through and you're taking notes on the story, you need to be circling or highlighting those senses, because that is going to help you out in your performance task. So just a little disclaimer there. So this is a paragraph from the story that we're going to read. And so what you need to do is you need to go through and highlight certain examples of the senses that the author is explaining to us. So I'm going to read through it. If you look at the bottom, they have given you one example, and you can use hearing again if you see an example of hearing, but that is giving you one example right there. So as you go through this paragraph, go ahead and highlight if you think that has to do with one of the five senses, and you can use that as an example on the bottom, okay? So they discovered the girl's head protruding from the mud pit, eyes wide open, calling soundlessly. She had a first communion name as Susanna, Lily. In the vast cemetery where the odor of death was already attracting vultures from far away, and where the weeping orphans and wails of the injured filled the air, the little girl, obstinately clinging to life, became the symbol of tragedy. The television cameras transmitted so often the unbearable image of the head budding like a black squash from the clay that there was no one who did not recognize her and know her name. And every time we saw her on the screen, right behind her was Rolf Karl, who had gone there on assignment, never suspecting that he would find a fragment of his past lost 30 years before. So go ahead, whatever examples. So if you are looking back and you see a sense of smell in the paragraph, go ahead and write the sense on the left side and your example on the right side. So go ahead and finish that. Once you finish that part, you are done with lesson 1 and you are ready to move on to lesson 2.